Okay, so since you understand how to get the numbers, sales revenue, cost of goods sold, gross profit, net income, ending inventory, right now, we want to talk about the data informations for 2 years. Usually for companies, only if this year is the first year for your company. Otherwise, companies always have the data informations from last year, right? So we have to consider the situations for 2 years. So here is when we consider the data for 2 years, how to get our cost of goods sold, how to get our ending inventories, okay? The only difference is what? We still have some inventories from last year because your company cannot sold out all the inventory each year, right? So always you have some inventories left on the last day. Then they will become your inventory next year. So next year you still can sell this kind of inventories, okay? So when we consider the data information for 2 years, don't forget, we still have the inventory from last year. We call it beginning inventory. What does that mean? This year on first day, before you do anything, you look at your company, you find out you still have some inventory in your company, right? That's because from last year, we have some inventory, okay? So this is inventory from last period. 上期期末存货 okay? So before you do anything, on the first day, I find out I got some inventory from last period. But we think the inventories on first day is not enough for us to do the business, right? So this year, we still buy some inventory from suppliers, okay? So cost of goods purchase, so means what? This inventory we purchase these periods. Okay? So first day I got some inventories. This period I purchase more inventories, okay? So when we add up these two numbers, means what? The total inventory we have, and we are going to sell it to customers, okay? So that's what we call the cost of goods available for sales, 可供销售存货。可供销售存货 cost of goods available for sales means what? The total inventory you have. Okay? So right now the total inventories we have is beginning inventory plus the inventory purchased this period, right? So right now total inventory we have, then we are going to sell it, right? So when we sold to customers, that's our cost of goods sold, right? So when we sold some inventory to customers, that's our cost of goods sold, our expense. We still have some inventory unsold in your company, then that's our ending inventories. So what does it mean? The inventory you still have on last day. So on last day, the inventories in your company. Okay, and for the inventory we have, they will become the beginning inventory next year, right? Because this inventory unsold, we are going to sell it next year, okay?下期期出存货。Okay, so common case is right here. You have to consider the inventory from last year, okay? Because your companies have a data information not only for 1 year. We still have some inventory from last year, last period. So you have to consider the situation. Any questions? No problem? Okay. So based on this, let's look at the small case. Give you some number. So for example, we just focus on year 2020. We just focus on this year or year 2021. Okay? So for year 2021, on the first day, we have some inventory from last year, right? So how many? 2 units, right? So based on the 2 units we have on first day, so this 2 units, what is your beginning inventory? 起初存货 okay? But you know, 2 units is not enough for us to do the business. So that's why this year we decide to buy 12 units more. So I have 12 units. There's an inventory you purchase this period. Okay? So right now, how many inventory we have? First day, 2 units. Right now, 12 units, right? So totally, I have 14 units, right? There's inventories we have available for sales. 可供销售存货 So right now, I know I have a 14 unit. I'm going to sell to customers. So this year, when we do the business, how many we sold to customers? 9 units, okay? So we sold the 9 units. This 9 units you sold. What we call cost of goods sold, right? 销货成本 So could you tell me, 14 units, you sold 9. How many you left in the company? 5, right? Okay, so 14 units minus cost of goods sold, how many we sold, then you got 5 units unsold. Okay, so for that 5 units unsold, still that's our inventory, right? But this inventory is on last day, so we call it ending inventory, 期末存货。Okay, any questions? No problem. If you don't have any questions, please go to your handout, chapter 5, page 7. Page 7. So we want to practice all the concepts we have so far. So go to your handout of chapter 5, page 7. Right now, you have to understand how to get the numbers, okay? Then next hour, we will tell you, based on the numbers you have, we have to recode it in a counting way. So that's another thing we are going to tell you later. Okay, so please go to your handout on page 7. Before you practice it, I give you some hint, okay? So here is ABC, means company A, company B, company C. So I have company ABC. So you have a company A, company B, company C. For each company, we have the data. So what kind of data? Beginning inventory, right? Okay, and purchase, right? So available for sales means what? The total inventory you have, right? For that total inventory we have, ending inventory is still in your company. So we can, based on total inventory, we have some inventory unsold. We have some inventory we sold. Okay? So trying to get the data we have for company ABC. After you got all the data, we just use the data to prepare two financial statements. Okay, statement of comprehensive income and statement of financial positions. Okay, so for example, for your cost of goods sold, we use the data to prepare what? To prepare your statement of comprehensive income, right? Cost of goods sold right here. And we use ending inventory to prepare what? To prepare our balance sheet, right? Because balance sheet is for ending inventory. So this is for our balance sheet. Okay? So the first step is trying to get all the data. After you got all the data from your first table, and use the data from first table to prepare two financial statements. Okay? Take your time. Okay. Wait 吧。If you're done, you can double check your answers. 算完第一个 table，你不可能算后面两个啊。第一个 table 是计算过程，算完数字你再填过去啊。你没有第一个，你怎么可能会有第二个？不可能啊。会吗？OK 啊。Finish the first table. Only you finish the first tables. You got the data numbers you have. Then I can use the numbers data I have to prepare two financial statements. Okay. So remember, financial statement always is your last step to do it because only you got the data, you can put it into different financial statements. Okay. Any questions? Okay, we give them 4 minutes more. Okay. After we finish this, then since we got all the numbers we have, then we are going to use the numbers, the concept, to do accounting jobs. So what's that? Record the transactions on two accounting books. So how to record the transactions on two accounting books? Journal entry. What's a debit? What's a credit? So later we are going to tell you. For inventory transactions, 存货交易, how to record the transactions, okay? The same, debit, credit, but which account we are going to use, okay? Okay, so if you haven't done yet, you can practice it later. So we have to continue the new contents. After the concepts, the structure here you have. Right now, we want to recall the transactions, okay? So how to recall the transactions? Please go to slide page 26, your textbook 5-5. So here I want to talk about how to recall the transactions. What's a debit? What's a credit? Okay. So here account for. Account for means how to recall it. The transaction. Okay. And we talk about chapter 5. So that's why our focus is on inventory transactions. It's about inventory. So how to recall it? We have two methods. First one, perpetual 永续盘存制 perpetual 永续盘存制 second one periodic 定期盘存制 so two methods perpetual 永续 periodic 定期 your company can only choose either one so you don't need to use both your company choose okay you want to use perpetual 永续盘存制 or you want to use periodic 定期盘存制 so what's the difference between these two methods depends on you are hard workers or you are lazy guy okay you are hard workers you use perpetual 永续盘存制 you are a lazy guy then you decide to use periodic okay so based on this maybe you can guess oh hard worker how you do everything every day when everything happens continually okay so perpetual 永续盘存制 is hard workers so hard workers means what you try to recall the details okay and you do this kind of things every day so continuously okay so like what hard workers how often you study oh I study every day after class I'm trying to pick up the contents I have so I do it continuously every day so every transaction happened I do it so here told you how often each inventory when we buy the inventory when we sell the inventory so when transactions occurred every time I just do it okay so especially focus on which part the difficult part how to define you are hard workers you are a lazy guy the important part is not the easy part, right? Oh, it's quite easy. Everyone is going to do it. But for the difficult part, oh, I don't want to do it. So the major factor, determinant, is on difficult part. So which one is the difficult part? Cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is the difficult part. How to get the numbers, cost of goods sold, 销货成本. Chapter 6, the whole chapter tell you how to get the number. So that's why cost of goods sold is the difficult part. Okay, so when we talk about you are a hard worker or you are a lazy guy, actually we mean whether you do this part, cost of goods sold, every time or not. Okay, so we focus on cost of goods sold, the difficult part. Easy job, everyone could do it, but difficult job is is a major factor determinant if you are a lazy guy or you are the hard worker. Okay. Determinant here means compute the amount, okay? How to get the amount. So that's why it's quite difficult. So determinant is about compute the amount. 金额计算。For cost of goods sold, how to get the amount? It's not an easy job to do that, okay? So hard worker, perpetual told you, no problem. Easy job, difficult job, I can do it every time. So hard worker, perpetual, even though cost of goods sold, every time when cost of goods sold incurred happen, perpetual hard worker 永续盘存制 will compute the amount every time, okay? Every time we means when. When cost of goods sold incurred happened. Cost of goods sold, right? So means when we sold the inventory, at that moment, perpetual 永续盘存制 hard worker will compute the amount every time when we sold the inventory, okay? So when each time when sales occurred, okay? So when we compute the amount, cost of goods sold, right? So you get the amount when we sold inventory, okay? Hard worker, every time when you sell the inventory, when you sold the inventory, they will get the amount. Okay? No problem? Okay. So this is the case. The first moment is what? When we buy the inventory, right? So when you buy the inventory from suppliers, you know, that's not difficult job to do that. So when we recall it for perpetual 永续盘存制 hard worker, of course, because that's an easy job. So we are going to do that, no problem. We record, we buy the inventories, okay? The key point is right now. Later, when we sold the inventory, we are perpetual hard worker. That means what? We will record, okay, we sold 1 unit to customers. We will record the sales revenues. At the same time, even though cost of goods sold is the difficult job, we still will record it immediately right now, okay? So perpetual, we are going to record, we are going to do the two things. First is the revenues we earn from customers. Second thing is the cost of goods sold. What is our expense, cost of goods sold? This is the difficult job, but still, we will do that. Why? Because we are hard worker, we are perpetual. Even though it's difficult, we still will try to get the amount, compute the amount, okay? And record it immediately. So based on this, I know the cost of goods sold, the numbers, amount, the dollars. Can you know how many inventory you still have right now? Yes, right? So I can know, okay, 3 units minus 1 unit, I still got 2 units. But that's only for unit. But don't forget, for finance accounting, we focus on money, money, and money. So 2 units, I recall cost of goods sold. How much for cost of goods sold? Can you get these 2 units amount, cost of inventory for 2 units? You can, right? So I can note for this 2 units, what's their cost of inventories for 2 units? Okay, so you are hard workers, you recall everything, then you will know everything anytime. So that's quite important because you got all the information we had. Since we've done everything on the last day, do you need to do anything? You don't need to. Like what? If you study harder every day, so on the last day before final exam, do you need to study? You don't need to. Like, have you heard about 大考大玩，小考小玩? So hard worker 大考大玩，小考小玩. Okay, so do you need to study? You don't need to. Okay, so that's perpetual hard worker 永续盘存制. Okay, so based on this, let's look at the numbers we have on your slide, page 30, textbook 5-5. Remember, I just let you practice how to get the numbers, right? Beginning inventory plus purchase. So beginning inventory plus purchase. You got total inventory you have, right? Okay, then we minus cost of goods sold. How many you sold, right? Then you got ending inventories is how many still in your company, right? Okay, so beginning plus purchase, you got total inventory you have minus the inventory you sold, then you got ending inventory still in your company. Can you tell me when you got this number, cost of goods sold? When you got this number, $775,000. When you got this number? If you are perpetual hard worker, 永续盘存制, when you get this number? Hard worker, every time when they happen, you compute it, right? You get it. So when you got this number, cost of goods sold, every time when you sold the inventory, you try to get the number cost of goods sold to know in order to earn the revenues, what's our expenses. Then I can get, okay, I still have an inventory left, 2 units, how much? Okay, so when you got this number, every time you sold the inventory, okay, each time inventory sold, you are a hard worker. You will try to get a number, okay? Then how about ending inventory? When you get this number? Ending. So means on the last day, okay? So on the last day, how many inventory I still have in the company? So is last day. 期末 end of period. Okay? So when you get this number, it's quite different, right? I got my score right now, or you got your score at the end of this semester, or it's quite different because you cannot know your information, your situations, right? Then it's quite hard to adjust yourself, right? Okay, so that's hard worker, perpetual 永续盘存制. Any questions? No problem? Okay. So let's go to lazy guy, periodic 定期盘存制. So maybe you can guess lazy guy, periodic 定期盘存制 when they do the difficult job, difficult part. When? Last day. Oh, tomorrow we have a quiz. Okay, I don't want to study, but tomorrow we have a quiz. So you are forced to study last day. Okay, so the same. Periodic for we don't have a detailed inventory record, right? Because we don't want to do it until last day, okay? So you only do the difficult job, cost of goods sold, when? On the last day. So for the cost of goods sold, the difficult part, when you do it last day, because you are forced to do it, okay? So on the last day. So during the whole period, do you know what happened? You don't know it, okay? Because you don't do anything until last day. Okay? So determine, again, what does it mean? Compute the amount, right? So when you compute the amount of cost of goods sold on last day, because it's quite difficult to do that. Determine, compute the amount. 计算金额。Okay? So let's see also the same. When you buy the inventory, when you sell the inventory on last day, what kind of things lazy guy periodic 定期盘存制 is going to do, okay? So when we buy the inventory, there's an easy job. So no problem. Oh, it's not that difficult. I can do that. So when we buy the inventory, periodic still will record the inventory. Why? Because that's not difficult. So when we saw the inventory, oh, that's a problem. I don't want to do the difficult job. So I just pick the easy one. I do the easy one, right? So I just recall one thing. What's that? Revenues. I don't recall the difficult part, cost of goods sold. So periodic 定期盘存制 lazy guy, you just recall one thing, okay? You don't record cost of goods sold. Why? Because that's difficult. So you don't want to do it. You just pick the easy one, okay? So the key difference is right here. Cost of goods sold, periodic 定期盘存制. I don't want to do it. So because of this, do you know cost of goods sold? You don't know it. Then do you know how many still in your company? You know 2 units, but you don't know the money. You don't know the numbers, okay? So how many still on hand? Based on this, I know 2 units. But for this 2 units, cost of inventory, you don't know the numbers. Why? Because you don't know cost of goods sold. You don't know cost of inventory for the 2 units. So what does it mean? You don't know everything about your inventories, okay? Based on this, on the last day, what kind of things you have to do? Try to find out your cost of goods sold. Try to find out your cost of inventory, right? But what's the problem? I didn't recall everything. How can I get the number on last day? How? The only way you can solve the problem is how? Go to your company. Open your factory door. Look at how many inventory still in your company. Then I start to count. Okay, I have an inventory 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I still have how many inventory in my company. Based on that, I can get my ending inventory. Okay, so the only way is go to your company and take a physical count, 实地盘点. So what does it mean? Go to your company. You really find out the inventory in your company and you count it 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and based on that, you get your ending inventory. So step 1, take a physical count, 实地盘点. Okay, find out your ending inventory. Ending inventory means unsold, right? How many inventory still in your company? So that's unsold. Okay, so I know how many still in your company. Can you figure out how many you sold? Yes, right? Based on total inventory I have minus ending inventory, you got inventory sold, right? Which is cost of goods sold. So based on that, I figure out my cost of goods sold. So based on unsold, you figure out how many you sold. How to get how many you sold? You use the formula, right? So what's the formula? Total inventory. You have minus ending inventory, right? Then you can figure out how many you sold. So how can you get the number? Based on the formula, okay? Any questions? No problem. And then let's take a break.